Hi guys, it's Jim here from Dr. Tankenstein with a homebrew gear review. Now in this video, I'm going to talk you through a new piece of kit I have called the Pinter. Now the Pinter claims to revolutionize the way that you make fresh beer at home. It takes out all of the guesswork, it takes out most of the effort, and it takes out the vast majority of the cleaning up involved in making beer. It does all of this and has a great environmental impact also in a process that it calls fresh brewing. Now this is obviously a little bit different to my usual take on making beer, but it intrigued me just enough to go out and grab myself one. So it is a little bit different, but do stick around because it's definitely worth it. So, the Pinter. It's this cool kind of torpedo looking thing to my right. Go ahead and Google it. Scroll down Google a little bit and you'll get brought to the website for the Greater Good Brewing Company. Do not go to the Harold Pinter Theatre Company. Now the Greater Good Brewing Company put together this little piece of technology. And their goal was to deliver delicious, fresh beer to your home and to your glasses in an environmentally friendly way. Now, the environmentally friendly impact is really cool. It's something that I've thought about for quite a long time, really. If you're a home brewer or even not, you probably know that most of what goes into beer is water. You know, if you've got a 5% beer, that basically means that 95% of it is water. And if you've ever brewed beer at home, you'll know that there's a hell of a lot of water used up in the brewing process. But water's heavy and it takes up a lot of space and a lot of packaging. So what the people at the Greater Good Brewing Company have done is basically taken all that water out of it, which means that they can deliver you 10 pints of beer in one of these. It's what they call their 10 pint eco crate, which I think is a really cool idea. This is an eco crate. It's kind of a cool little term they've got. Now inside the eco crate, you'll find one of these. It's a fresh press, what they call a fresh press to do your fresh brewing. And that's everything you need, along with a little thing of yeast, a little thing of purifier, to make 10 pints of beer. And, you know, it weighs a hell of a lot less, it takes up a lot less space on a lorry, and it takes up a lot less packaging. You know, this 10 pint bottle doesn't have the, 10 pint cans, 12, 13, 330ml cans that you would normally get your beer in. Now, the instructions on the box and online are pretty straightforward too. I'll run through how to make one of these later. But what's in the box, what's inside this fresh press is also pretty good. You know, for example, this is the Stars and Stripes APA, has all American hops in it. Similarly, the Pilsner, the Lockwood Pilsner, I don't know the story behind that name, has Sarts hops in it. So, you know, a traditional noble hop of the Bohemia region. And it, you know, on a personal message note, if you ever brew with Sarts hops, you'll know they're a pain. You have to use so much of them to get any kind of balance in your beer. But clearly these guys have gone to that extra effort. They've done the research, they've crafted the recipes well. This is, for all intents and purposes, craft beer that you brew fresh at home. So the beers are great, we've covered that. They also have a real wide range of beers available. They have, I think it's like 12 beers and 2 ciders that you can make using this fresh press, fresh brewing method. But it's the gadget that excites me. It's the equipment itself that got me intrigued in this. Now, I guess for all intents and purposes, what this is it's a fermentation vessel and a serving vessel in one. There's no electricity to it. You chill it in your own fridge, and you don't need any boiling or heating at all to make the beer as they suggest, to fresh brew. So what's so cool about it? I mean, it looks cool for sure, and even the packaging. So I'm a man who likes design, okay? So the design of the actual thing is great, but the box it came in was also really cool. Kind of a double layered box that had like a really cool design on the inside and on the outside, which I think is great. What sums up the box to me is that I opened it up and I was like, oh yeah, this is great, this is great. Oh, you know, obviously I went for the black model. Like, it's a little bit dusty, I guess I'll clean it off. Well, they dedicated a little bit of space in the box to include this. It's the Pinter cloth. So if you're worried and your Pinter isn't looking as cool as it could do, never fear. There's a little anti-static cloth there with the logo right on it. So what is it about the thing that I love so much? There are 3 real key pieces of technology, I guess, that they've managed to cram into a really small space in a really cool way. Okay, so I'll walk you through them. First is the tap. Okay, like I said, this is a fermentation vessel and a serving vessel. So on the front here, you'll notice there's a tap. Now, aside from being quite a nice sort of sturdy spring, you know, it recoils exactly as it's supposed to. The bore on it is pretty good. So the actual size of the hole is great. You know, your beer comes out at a reasonable speed, but it's also designed, like, I mean, there's no beer line involved, which means that there's nothing to take the pressure. So to engineer this tap in such a way to deliver a good pint so close to the serving vessel is a real piece of engineering. And I know that it doesn't sound it, but that's really quite difficult. If you've ever used any of the mini kegs before, I've a couple of videos on them. If you use the native tap on the mini keg, the beer just gushes out and you lose all the carbonation. Not true with the Pinter. The next thing that I think is a real piece of brewing engineering to have in this real nice small package is this. Now this is, I guess, what they call the Carbonation Dial. And what this is a really clever valve. It's, I guess if you really want to get technical, it's what you would call in the brewing industry a Sponding Valve. So you can turn this off and have it just open to the air. You can turn it sort of halfway so that it doesn't let air in, but it will let carbon dioxide out. Or you can turn it to carbonation. The carbonation mode, I guess, on this is, it's cool. They've realized exactly what PSI the beer needs, what pressure the beer needs to be at to give a good pint at this end, and they've engineered this valve to keep the beer at that pressure at all times. So what that means is, whilst you're fermenting, gas can escape, but whilst you're conditioning, it'll keep gas in. And I think that largely gets kind of skated over, and rightly so. If you're not interested in it, that's fine. I am, and I think it's really cool. So the final little bow on the package And this is the thing that actually, if I'm honest, really made me, really raised my eyebrow and made me want to get one of these things. It's the Brewing Dock. What this does is it basically acts as a stand for the vessel whilst it's fermenting. You know, you stand it on during fermentation. This perfectly fits the outlet of the fermenter such that during fermentation it allows yeast to settle in the bottom. What? I can't describe to you as a home brewer, someone who's made, you know, countless batches of beer by now, I can't describe to you how cool this is, that it collects yeast at the bottom of the beer for you. And not only that, it does it without you having to introduce air into the beer, which, you know, keeps it fresh in. Without you introducing air into the beer, oxygen to the beer, without you agitating the beer at all. I mean, this little trap that they've concocted, this little low-tech gadget with the valve on the other side, really is a feat of engineering, and I think they need the credit for it. Okay, so I've talked you to death about what I like about this thing, gushing a little bit if I'm honest. So let's make a beer. Let's make a fresh press using an eco crate. Let's fresh brew, guys. Okay, so I'm gonna make the one I showed you earlier. It was clear which one I was gonna make. The Stars and Stripes American APA. I love APAs. I think it's a great style. A revolutionary style, I guess you would have to say, because it started the craft beer revolution. So, obviously going to use my Pinter for this, otherwise there's no point in me talking about it. So the first thing you do when you start brewing is you just get rid of the tap and take this front plate off. You will need those obviously to serve it with, but they don't help you much right now. So I'm just going to stand this up and take out the bung, I guess, would you call it a bung? This little plug at the end anyway. Now obviously this is going to be a pressurized container at some point, so it's actually, you really do need to make sure it's sealed. Whilst I'm here, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, but this is the one design flaw I've managed to find with this, is that, you hear that? It just kind of catches a little bit. I guess the screws are just a little bit proud, and it just catches on this. That's the only thing, which, you know, if that's the only thing, then I think you're picking up there. Right, so the first thing we need to do, the first rule of homebrew is sanitation, sanitation, sanitation. I guess the first rule of fresh brew is purification, purification, purification. So I'm going to use the purifier that they've supplied me with here. Now the instructions, they suggest you empty the contents of this right in there and then add water. I never suggest adding granules to something and assuming that it's all gonna just get in there and dissolve. So what I've got here is a cup of warm water. So I'm just going to tip my purifier into here. I'm just going to give it a good stir. Hopefully it'll dissolve in here, otherwise wasted. Yeah, lovely. So it's got a little bit milky, but you can sort of see the bubbles working now. So I'm just going to throw that in there. There's actually quite a lot of it left after me saying that. But it'll go in. So what this is doing is it's just sterilizing it basically. So obviously this is going to be a fermentation vessel. What we're going to put in here, ultimately, you know, in a minute, is really good food for bacteria. So you get a lot of, if you're not careful, if there's any bacteria in there, you can get a lot of bacterial growth. So I put my purifier in. I'm just going to top it up to the mark. Now there is there's a little red mark there, so I'm just going to have to turn it around so I can see it. Nice big red line on the inside. Lovely. So after it's done, I have to go the other way. Again, design flaw. I know it's a design flaw. And just make sure it's really, really on there. Yeah, it's on. Right. I'm gonna shake it around now. Make sure it gets to every little, every corner of the vessel. And then, after I've done, I attach my brewing dock. Everything that comes into contact with beer after this point needs to be sterilized. The brewing dock is one of those things, so I'm gonna put it on. Now, I'll try to show you what I'm doing. Again, they've thought of everything, super easy. So, this little point is labeled A. You put A to 1. Give it a good clamp down. And then you just turn it over to 2. So now I'm going to invert. And you hear that? That's just filling up the brew dock. So that's all full. So I'm going to leave that on its side for 10 minutes. Right, 10 minutes is done. My Pinter is now purified. So now all I need to do is to remove the brewing dock, my favourite piece, the brewing dock. Now to do that, you're supposed to do it over the sink, and the reason you're supposed to do it over the sink is because you will get some kind of spillage. So I don't have the luxury of a sink on this studio set, so instead I'm just going to do it in this mixing bowl. Now it comes off very much the way that it went on, except the opposite. So if I give that a twist and lift it up, you'll see just a little bit came out. And I've got this. So, I mean, was the sink necessary? I don't know. So yeah, so like I said earlier, this is my geeky kind of guilty pleasure on this whole system, is that when you're done fermenting, you do the same thing, a similar process. You take this off, obviously, to serve it, because that's where the tap is hidden by it. And all this is full of yeast, and I guess what you would call trube, you know, just kind of proteins and carbohydrate complexes that kind of just stick together and form during the brewing process. All gets hidden away in this nice little brewing dock, and you can just throw it away. Now, one thing I haven't done is purified my tap. Now, my tap clearly will come into contact with beer, or hopefully it will, as I drink it. Otherwise, there's not much point. So I'm just gonna tap's nice and purified, so I'm just gonna take this off, invert, and get rid of my purifier. Now we come to the main event. It's time to use our fresh press, Stars and Stripes, American Pale Ale, hopped with either Simcoe or Citra or Magnum. Now I'm on record as discussing how annoying this stuff is to deal with, this liquid malt extract. This isn't just liquid malt extract, I'm sure it's much easier to deal with than just the pure stuff. What I am going to do before I put any of that in there is I'm going to put a little bit of water in there first. You don't have to do this, it's definitely not suggested by the good people over at the Greater Good Brewing Company. But that's just how I roll. Okay, so crack it. Go ahead and take this off. And yeah, this one's for my homies. God, it's so thick. I mean, I guess regular liquid, I'm just gonna give that a swirl as I go there. You know, I mean, you can feel it. You can feel it sort of blocking the air, you know, so the air pressure can't equilibrate, so the bottle gets all like sucked in and thin. But to be honest, I mean, this is way easier to deal with than most liquid malt extracts, because I guess there's other things in there. You've got hops in there as well, so that's not going to be. It's not going to be quite the same. So I've almost got it all out of there. I know that I'm not homebrewing today. I'm fresh brewing, but to save time and to ensure that I get everything out, I'm just going to go ahead with a little bit of warm water, not boiling water. I don't know if this packaging can handle boiling water. I'm just going to wash it out, because why not? Because why not? I mean, it's funny, isn't it? You think about this kind of thing, you think, there might be, what? There might be 10 mil of malt extract in there, and in the grand scheme of things, it's literally not going to make a difference. But you know, in the back of your mind, you like to just get everything out of it, you know, 100% extraction or whatever. So this is yeah. So like I said, don't use boiling water on this. This is warm water, and I can already smell sort of hops coming out of it. You really don't want to play about with the temperature of this stuff. You know, this is, like I said earlier, crafted, sort of engineered to be a recipe. It wasn't designed to boil, so don't boil it. Don't add hot water or anything like that. Just keep it room temperature, and you'll be fine. So I'm going to give this a swirl. As a chemist, we're always taught to swirl rather than shake, so I'm swirling. It's got a good head already. So I'm almost at capacity. Because I haven't boiled, because this is just room temperature, I can now go ahead and add my yeast in. Again, just gonna go ahead and take the thing off there. I don't know which is a worse material to manipulate, the malt extract or yeast, because yeast just sticks to anything. It's like it's almost like those daffodils. You blow it and it just sticks to everything. Yeast just does that on its own. So I'm going to throw the yeast in, and like I say, I think there's a little bit more logic to it with yeast, but I'm not sure how much more. And besides, it doesn't really even dissolve in the water that well, because it's all kind of coated, you know, lipid coated, so it doesn't just melt. So there you go, my yeast's in. Yeah, top myself up to the mark. I'm gonna put my lid on, and then just make sure it gets all in there. Remember, I did purify this, so it's all nice and sanitary. And then this time, rather than putting that on top, actually no, I'll do as they say. Place my brewing dock. Again, hear it gurgle. So that's it. So it now stands on the brewing dock for 5 days. 4 days is the recommended fermentation time on this. Nice handy handle to carry it around with. This weighs about 6 kilograms, so it's very, very manageable. I've got my carbonation dial set to carbonated so that the gas can escape without anything getting in. And that's it. You just basically leave it. Now, when you come to want to drink it after the 4 days, or however long you want to leave it, again, just repeat that process of taking the dock off. Like I say, it will be full of yeast and what we call trube. You go ahead and throw that away. You probably can't really use it for anything else. Just throw it away and stick this in the fridge to condition, and then enjoy your beer. So guys, there it is. That is the Pinter. I've got myself 10 pints of beer fermenting now. It took me about 17 minutes to do. And we're finished. Now I'm a home brewer, all grain home brewer. They're very explicit, the company, the Greater Good Fresh Brewing Company, that this isn't homebrew. You know, there's no calculations to do. There's a lot less effort, a lot less thinking involved in making this fresh brew, this beer using their eco crates that they make. Now, I agree. You know, it's a lot less thought goes involved, a lot less effort, a lot less cleaning up, like I said at the start. Whether or not it's home brewing, it is definitely still brewing. You know, we've now got active fermentation going on here. There are communities of people online who are getting really, really into this, you know, brewing this fresh brew way. And they're playing with fermentation times, fermentation temperatures, you know, the same thing as any home brewer would do. Now, obviously, you don't have to get involved with it. You don't have to get involved in that. You can just leave this at room temperature for 5 days, like they suggest, and put it in the fridge for 3. But you can. There's the option there. So, you know, is this home brewing? Maybe not. Is it fresh brewing? Yes, it's brewing. So if you're interested in this, which I think that, you know, it's definitely intriguing to say the least, head over to their website. I'll put a link in the description for you to go and find out. Like I said, I don't have any stake in this. I don't really care whether you get one or not. I just really think it's quite a cool little piece of kit. For the footprint it has, and the impact, you know. I mean, these things, it's a kilogram and you get 10 pints from it. What's wrong? It's £1.50 a pint compared to what, £1.80 for a can of craft beer. You know, you can't really complain at that. Now, speaking of craft beer and comparisons, for full tastings of both the Stars and Stripes and the Lockwood Pilsner, stay tuned. They'll be on the Beers of the British Isles branded video stream, so definitely check those out. I will be giving these the full Beers of the British Isles treatment, you know, warts and all. So check that out. Check out the Pinter. If nothing else, these guys are trying to bring you better beer and have you a little bit more involved in the process, which I think is a cool thing. So, cheers guys, thanks for watching, and happy brewing.